It is tempting when given anything, any model, any way of looking at the world, and then having that that new way of looking at the world show you something that either you didn't see before, so give you a big epiphany, or tell you something that you already knew, but you just needed to have verified by some external source. So you get that validation, that affirmation that no, you're not crazy. These things really do happen to people. And so personal Kanban is funny because there's only two rules: visualize your work and limit your work in progress. And there's a million different ways to draw or to instantiate that personal Kanban. It can be in a Kanban with, just ready, doing, and done. It can have all sorts of different columns, different swim lanes. It can be on paper. It can be digital. It can be big circle with things moving towards the center of the circle. It can be, all sorts of things. We've seen the most creative things ever in people doing personal Kanban. So in the post today, which is here, and if you're on YouTube, just go to our humanework.substack.com and look for 5 moments, and you will find this post. And it should be in the link below in case you want to find it. But there's a lot of different reasons why your head needs to be able to see the work that you're doing so that your head isn't constantly thinking about the work that you're not doing. So you get into work at the beginning of the week and you already are feeling behind because you don't have a visual system that is telling you, hey, you've got all these things to do, but right now you're going to focus on this thing, and that's okay. You don't have to focus on everything at once. So you want to be able to make sure that you start to set clearer priorities, that you're able to get things unstuck because you are able to finish certain things. So you just have this big cluster of work, and right now you just want to find the right things to do now at the right time. Right? So this isn't because you're evil or ridiculous or incompetent. This is because right now we have an unprecedented number of things we could be doing. So for years, I've been telling people, when my dad was a developer in Grand Island, Nebraska, he'd wake up in the morning and he'd go out and he'd look at how the houses were being built. And then he'd come home and he'd watch baseball, and then he'd go see how the houses were being built. And then he'd get in the car and he'd go fishing. Because my dad was actually in this now enviable position of finding that he was done for the day. Like there was nothing else he had to do. So we can't do that. And the internet was bad, but AI makes it even worse. So, this is a thing that's just saying, we now need to be able to visualize our work. We need to be able to have something that says, right now I'm focused on this thing, I'm doing this thing, and this is the thing that I'm doing. And that's the end of the story. So, we've been doing this for 20 years. And so, you need to be able to see that work and get it done. All right. And so we're going to move on here to decision paralysis. So right now, it's impossible to know how to start some days. So right now I'm working on these type of posts, right? We're doing another reboot of kind of the Modus Institute website and our entire business model. We're trying to find some new consulting clients. I'm finishing up the book on toxic waste. I'm finishing up my novel. We're launching a Modus store. This is a lot of things for a company with 2 people in it. And so I get in the morning and I don't know what to do next. And that's a huge problem. So, you do things that you do to kind of ground yourself. So for me, first thing I do is I'll check my email and I'll check the calendar just to make sure that people haven't shown up in the middle of the night and booked new meetings for me. I'll get myself some coffee, But when I come back, the huge pile of stuff isn't there. So I need to have some sort of a system that helps me avoid the cognitive cost of having a bunch of options up there, and then allows me to have a system that stalls some work in favor of other work. All right. So, we can't solve this by being, super focused, because super focused means nothing if you don't know what you're super focusing on. The WIP limit is important. It's incredibly important. And so what I do each day is I will call up our Pomodoro. So I get in the morning and I start to list out the things that I'm supposed to do today. And I didn't do the teaser for Thomas, which I said I was going to do. So I'm going to have to do that when I stop making this. So I've already done this, so I'll mark it that it's done. But this is kind of like my mini Kanban, but the mini Kanban is also attached to, come on, you. There we go. This is big ass article. This is the next article. So I'm working on that now, and here's the timer. And so I use this Pomodoro to make sure that even though I might have 3 things in WIP, right now I am fully focused on this. All right. So up here, we'll see that in the background, there we go. Hold on. We'll see back up here. There's a lot of things, sorry. But right now here, this is still in process, but I'm not working on it right now. I'm working on that new Modus store, but I'm writing this article at this moment. So that's what I'm doing. That's how I'm dealing with the 3 things, what I'm doing with my stuff. You've seen articles recently about the priority filter. I'll talk about that more in the article itself. But the hard decision each day isn't, necessarily even what things I'm going to do. It's how am I going to make sure that I actually do them? What do I do to build the system that makes sure that I do the things that I want to do? So the second thing that I want to talk about is the guilt that we all feel around the notion of productivity. Like, I didn't do enough. I didn't get enough done. I didn't focus on the things that I wanted to focus on. And so again, this is a systemic problem, right? This is a thing where we have real work, we get the real work done, but then at the end of the day, we don't feel like we actually did things that were important. And the reason for that is each morning we go in and we have the things that we want to do, and then life says, don't think so, and we do something else. And so when that happens, we feel like we didn't do the thing that we wanted to do today. And there's 2 sides to that coin. One side is that that's okay, because if it didn't, it means that we didn't really value it to begin with. But the second thing is having the ability to say, yes, I didn't get that done, but this is what happened instead. Now, was what happened instead valueless? Because I've had days that have been completely derailed by certain pieces of technology just randomly deciding not to do today what they did every single day before that. And you're going, why are you not doing this? Why are you not doing this? When we have those fails, those just eat up our time, and that is so painful. All right. Now, if we're in a world where those things that are that painful happen regularly, they are predictably painful. And so we need to make sure at the beginning of the day that when we say, I'm going to get this stuff done, that we're making sure that we know that those things are out there. And so we want each day for our boards to reset, for us to be able to say, we are going to learn from what happened today. So in our done columns, we're going to put something in there about how we're going to learn about today, and that we review our done columns, we review our today columns, and we make sure that when we go in the beginning of the day, we are not biting off more than we can chew. And we're sure that at any given point in time that certain pieces of work that we are doing are going to be completed. So we are going to make sure that we're building the system to get those things done. So that's thing number 2, is when you have productivity guilt. Number 3 is being overwhelmed by overwhelm, creating more overwhelm by making you focus on the overwhelm because you're overwhelmed. And I watch so many people that I care deeply about fall into this trap every day. And it is so hard to stay out of this because overwhelm is overwhelming, okay? How do I stay out of it? I stay out of it with that stupid Pomodoro tool that says, right now, you are working on the big ass article. Pay attention to the big ass article. And I will be completely upfront about this. I have 4 things right now in flight that are really in flight. And about an hour ago, I was just randomly bouncing between those 4 in this state of perpetual context switching. And I caught myself in it. And I'm like, you know what? I've got too much work in progress. I know it. I write this stuff. I know this stuff, and it happens to me all the time. So I had to go and put the stupid Pomodoro up on my screen and say, focus on the article. Just focus on the article, Jim. It will be okay because you will finish these things. And then when that finishes, you will get a psychological reward, which helps you deal with the accumulated weight of all of the crap that you're doing. And these things aren't, it's not like some clever trick. This is literally just saying, I am going to focus on a thing and I'm going to finish it. That's it. That's all it is. But it's so difficult to do. And it drives us into these things. They're kind of called these loops where we have tasks that we've been doing for 6 or 7 or 8 days. And mine right now are called 2 things: a Shopify shopping cart and taxes. I cannot bring myself to finish either of those problems because, number one, they're really boring. Number two, they're not in my wheelhouse. And number three, every day I don't do them, I feel more guilty about doing them, more behind. And as I do that, that guilt builds up and it forms like this impenetrable barrier between starting the task and finishing it. Because you start it and you're like, oh man, I should have had this done a week ago. I didn't have this week done a week ago. Oh my God, I suck. I'm so terrible at getting these things done. I should have had this done a week ago. Why wasn't this done a week ago? And then you go on and on and on about it. It spins in your head. And so guilt and dread suck. I'm just going to say that for the record. And that this creates this meta price that we pay, this meta cost that we pay on top of these taxes, on top of these on top of these Freudian slips, on top of these tasks, where every time we try and touch this, there's this penalty that we pay of guilt and self torture. So don't do that. So when something's blocked, don't avoid the damn thing. Just review it, remove it. Just straight up treat it like any other bottleneck and jump in and grab that bottleneck. I'm like misclicking something up here. Oh, I did. See, my visual control was telling me I hadn't completely discussed everything. So, invisible workload. I'm gonna try and finish this up here. Okay, you guys have heard me talk about ambiguous whip, guerrilla whip, hidden whip, all of these different kinds of work that we commit to doing, that we do, and that we, neither us nor anyone else on the whole planet, recognizes as done, valuable, or even necessary. So what we want to do every day is make sure that your level of commitment, the things that you've promised to other people and yourself, are actually the work that you're doing. That we start to look for these hidden commitments and we start to do something about them. So if these hidden commitments are things like people keep talking to me on Discord, or people send me emails and I have to respond to this email, I can't tell you the number of times that I've had conversations with people and they're like, well, you sent me this email and it took me an hour and a half to respond. And I'm like, it was a simple question. and they're mad at me for sending them the email, because then they had to expend all of this energy writing things back. So two things about this. One, when you send something to somebody else, recognize that you're doing that to them, and in so doing, give it whatever text it needs to say, do not waste your time with a huge reply. So I've taken to sending things to people saying like, I need a yes or no for this. Don't embellish. I just need yes or no, or don't spend a lot of time on this, or whatever it might be. The second thing is to understand that when people are um, when you are doing this to other people, okay? So when that email chain starts up and you're like, oh my God, I'm always the one with the questions. If that's a problem, then you got to do something about it. You got to do something about it. So, for people, individual people, this might look like the things on the board don't move as fast as it. For the teams, it's like the teams have somebody being completely overloaded and somebody doesn't know what's going on. So work balancing issues. And this is like one person is exhausted because everybody else on the team is asking them those questions. Leaders, when you're looking at a team and the team is struggling, this team is almost always struggling because there's some sort of invisible, unreported amount of work happening. They're not lazy. They're not quiet quitting. They're not jerks. They're not understaffed. They're not idiots. Literally, there's something going on where people don't know the right work to do at the right time. That any leader that gets that gets an A+ in leaderology from Jim. Okay, so your board doesn't automatically make all work visible because you're making work visible. So you need to create the conditions for these pieces of hidden work to become visible. You can see that something's happening on the board because cards aren't moving. But after a while, you're going to have to find some way to get people to change their behavior on the team, or the people that you work with, so that the right information, the right work, the right interactions are happening at the right time. All right. And as you can see, we are 81% done, so almost there. 20-minute video. So 20 years of doing this, right? Reduce this to 5 of these moments, but these 5 moments are like the killer 5 for me. There's literally hundreds. So don't think that this is a definitive list, or this isn't like the system of profound moments for personal Kanban. But what this is these are 5 things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 things that give you an indication that it's okay to be overloaded and it's not okay to remain overloaded. So we have a structure that we've set up. We want to avoid having our brains work so hard. We want to note that we are biased towards things that are happening in our face, or things that are urgent, or things that we like doing. That we are naturally optimistic creatures. And so therefore, when we take on work, we overpromise what we can deliver because we think we can get everything done. And also we have the availability heuristic or recency bias, which is that the last thing that we dealt with is the most important, and we tend to forget other things. So one important thing for this, if you've ever asked something from somebody and then they say, yeah, I'm going to do it, and then they go off and they don't, what you're probably not seeing is that they started to do it, they have every intention to do it, and they've been constantly distracted. So it is okay to remind people that they promised you something, and it is okay for them to remind you too. So treat that as a two-way street. All right, so this is an external cognitive system that holds what the brain can't, so that we can look at things and know immediately what we could do and what we're over promising on. So I'm gonna end there. There's 100% blathered. We are done with this particular talk. Thank you all. Like and subscribe. Please become a paid subscriber to the Substack. When you do that, you will get to join our monthly calls, and our monthly calls are awesome. They're out of control awesome. Also, Tony and I will be having live workshops on a variety of things. Pick the one that works best for you, and if something doesn't work for you, just ping us. We can, we love to talk and we love to work. So thanks, everybody.